will a mere mortal rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how are we robbing you? In tithes and offerings. It is so interesting that according to the Old Testament, if you do not tithe, if you do not give your offering to God, you are not just being not generous, you are actually stealing from God. Tithing is the starting point. Everybody say that, starting point. Giving 10% of your income is the starting point of grateful giving. Are you listening to me? Many Catholics think that tithing, giving 10% of their income, is the maximum. And, oh, I'm tithing, I'm giving 10% of my income. And people actually think that God and everybody will say, oh, you're so generous, you're so generous. No, I believe tithing is the starting point. It's the training wheels. Have you, if your kids, I've got kids and their bicycles, they've got training wheels. You know what are training wheels? They're tiny things, they're but when they're bigger, you remove them. I believe tithing is like the training wheels of generosity to teach you how to give. Giving 10% of your income, it's the starting point. But as you mature in the Lord, and as the Lord increases your blessings and your abundance, you will notice that God will invite you to give more and more and more. You have to give in order to receive. If you do not give, if you cut off your giving, you cut off your blessings. Do you understand me? Oh, no, you don't. Are you sure you get this? If you cut off your flow of giving, you cut off your flow of blessing. And that's how life works. That's how God's creation works. That's how this universe works. Can we try?
The 10%. It is not the doctrine of the Scriptures. Now, it was taught in the time of the Israelites. It was meant for the Levites. It is not for our time. Let us read. Hebrews chapter 7 verse 5 says, and verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is of their brethren. Kukuha sila ng tithes according to the law from their brethren. But these pastors now, they get tithes from everybody. Even in streets, they are asking for tithes and offerings. But this was commanded by God to the Levites who are practicing the office of priesthood. They are to be given tithes, or 10% of the income of the Israelites will be given to the Levites for their subsistence, so that they have their food. The tithes is meant for the food of the Levites. Let us read. Malachi chapter 3 verse 10. It says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. The tithes, or the 10%, is meant for the meat or food in the house of God, so that the Levites, the priest, can exist and can sustain their needs. Yun ang kahulugan ng tithing, kapatid. Para sa Levitical priest yun. Pero nung dumating si Kristo, that Levitical priesthood was abolished, and the law of tithing was abolished also. 7:12. Let us read. For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. Was there a change? The Levite priesthood was changed, so there is also a necessity for the change of the law. Sabi sa Tagalog, nang palitan ang pagkasaserdote, kinailangang palitan din naman ang kautusan.
That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God. That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God.
Kaya yung kautusan ng pagbibigay ng ikapo, inuutos sa mga saserdotes, libitas nung araw, pagdating ni Kristo, pinalitan yon. Anong kapalit? What is the law in the time of Christ, which changes the law of the priesthood of the Levites? What is the law? 2 Corinthians 9:7. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. See?
Tithing is the starting point.
It's not tithing anymore.
Tithing is the starting point.
You have to give as you purpose it in your heart. It is your heart that decides. It is not the pastor.
That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God.
Let your heart decide as a Christian. Your merciful heart, your loving heart, your heart that is pure, let it decide what amount you are going to give. So there is no exact amount. There is no fixed price or amount. Just like 10%.
That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God.
These people who are imposing the 10% to their members are misled by their love of money and benefit.
That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God.
These people who are imposing the 10% to their members are misled by their love of money and benefit. They have made religion a form of commerce and not as a form of sacrifice. I do not blame the one giving, but you are enriching a pastor who is not telling you the truth. You are giving him more power to deceive even more people.
You have to give in order to receive. If you do not give, if you cut off your giving, you cut off your blessings. Do you understand me?
Kaya kayo, huwag kayo magbibigay ng tithes.
That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God.
Kaya kayo, huwag kayo magbibigay ng tithes.
That if you do not tithe, you are robbing God.
Kaya kayo, huwag kayo magbibigay ng tithes. Pag hindi kayo nakakatiyak, do not give. Do not give. I'm advising you not to give if you are not sure that that one you are helping is propagating the real gospel of Christ. You are just giving him power and strength to deceive even more people.
You have to give in order to receive. If you do not give, if you cut off your giving, you cut off your blessings. Do you understand me?
They have made religion a form of merchandise. Let us read that. 2 Peter chapter 2 verses 1 up to 2, it says, "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. 2. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evilly spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you."
Give. Giving 10% of your income, it's the starting point. But as you mature in the Lord, and as the Lord increases your blessings and your abundance, you will notice that God will invite you to give more and more and more.
See? With feigned words shall make merchandise of you. Gagawin kayong kalakal.
Give. Giving 10% of your income, it's the starting point. But as you mature in the Lord, and as the Lord increases your blessings and your abundance, you will notice that God will invite you to give more and more and more.
See? With feigned words shall make merchandise of you. Gagawin kayong kalakal. They will make merchandise of you. You will be instruments of their getting much more riches from people. So I'm sorry for that. There are those who have used religion and have made religion a form of merchandise. Kinalakal nila ang relihiyon. Kaya yayaman nila eh.